So class 221 on the golden doves, we're on the bottom of page 131. We were dealing with the idea of panim achor, how sometimes the distance or the distancing or the passing of the Shekhinah. So after that, the mind can process, in the full presence of the panim, there is no possibility of processing. So that's vaya'abor Adonai al panav, right? All right, bottom of the page. Both the panim and achor systems involve an irreducible tension between the original and the articulation or reflection, right? So the panim is the inside, the essence, the reality, let's call it. I mean, what is reality anyway? But right, um, let's say the first person as he is to himself. Okay, interesting way of putting it. And the achor is the articulation, right? How it's reflected, the temunah, utmunat Adonai yabit, how it's reflected to the second person. The basic connection between the silver dots and the golden doves forestalls any idea of ultimate compatibility between the original oraculum and articulations, right? So there is no, the original oraculum, the thought in the mind of the first person is not fully reducible, or rather the articulation is not fully reducible to the thought, right? And there's always going to be a disconnect, between the silver and the gold. Remember, we said that they can't be welded together. So you can put the silver around the gold and it shows you the shape of the gold, but it can't be welded into the gold. Right? They are mutually irreducible. So all you have is a reflection. You have an original and you have a reflection of the original. Right? So to the extent that words are limited, the reflection of the thought of the oraculum will be limited. So the achor is a reflection of the panim, but it's not the panim, right? So that's is a very important concept. You never have access to the panim or God as he is to himself, of course. I mean, that's obvious. If you have access to my panim, so I'm going to tell you about myself. I was born in there, and I went to this, and I did that, and I did this. You don't really understand how I experience myself to myself, right? So you hear these words. So the words are fine. They kind of give you the shape of things. Same way the silver mesh gives you the shape of the golden doves. It's not the golden dove. So both the panim and achor systems involve an irreducible tension between the original and the articulation or reflection. I'm repeating it. The basic disconnection between the silver dots and the golden doves forestalls any idea of ultimate compatibility between the original oraculum and articulation. They are mutually irreducible. Probably with this metaphor at the back of his mind, Rabbi Hanina censured someone who added to the traditional doxology in the belief that in this fashion, the service would be more propitious, right? So right, he was saying, like, there was a Hazan, and the Hazan got up in front of Rabbi Hanina, and he said, Gadol, Gibor, Nora, and he goes on and on and on and on with different praises, which we don't have in the Amidah. And he asks a very important question. So you want to encompass everything about God, huh? Like you want to use words to encompass God fully, but you can't. So it's almost insulting because by adding these words, you're suggesting, well, now we'll get closer to what God really is, but you never do. Get closer to what God really is at the panim level. So Rabbi Hanina asked him, have you exhausted all the praises of your Lord? Right? Are you done? Like maybe, is this it? This is what Hashem is? To what may this be compared, says Rabbi Hanina to this Hazan? To a king, but 1,000,000 coins. And then he was praised because he had silver coins. So you say, so the king really has gold coins, millions of 1,000,000 gold coins. And you say, wow, I want to praise this king in terms of silver coins. Well, that doesn't quite catch it because they're gold coins. In regard to him, this isn't isn't this an affront? So if you praise the king who has gold coins with silver coins, you're actually insulting the king. Now, gold and silver are somehow at the same level of reality. Whatever words we use to describe God, they're related to our level of reality, and they have nothing to do with his level of reality. So the gold and silver was a very generous explanation by the Hanina. Did you catch that last point about the words we use? Every word we use is somehow connected to the reality we exist in. You can't use that to explain anything about God's reality. He indicated thereby the unbridgeable gap separating what is articulated as praise from what actually pertains to God. God is strong, but strength is an idea in the physical world that has to do with physics. God is above that. That's right. The point of this metaphor, remarked Harambam, lies in the phrase gold coins, and he was praised because he had silver coins, a metaphor indicating that what for us is perfection, nothing of this sort could actually apply to him. I also think that gold and the silver is an allusion to golden doves with silver dots, right? I think that's why Rabbi Hanina chose that. Okay. Precisely because the original oraculum cannot be reduced to articulation and can never be exhausted, it may be expressed in countless variations. Right. Eternity of the Torah, a fundamental premise in Hebrew thought, thus takes on a dynamic aspect. Fresh and hitherto unknown significations may always be discovered. Because the distance is infinite, because the truth is infinitely removed from the articulation of the truth, there's no end to the chidushim. It's like your infinite distance. So you can go 1 light year and 10 light years and 20 light years and 100 light years and thousands of light years, and there's almost more light years. So there's always chidushim, and there's always new insights about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I mean, when I say new insights, of course, I'm referring to Chachamim who have Kovet Rosh, who have, something to think about, which is very rare. I don't even know. I don't know who has that today. I'm not saying it. I believe there are people who can. I believe there are people who can think about God, though they are very, 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 very few, and I don't know any. But anyway, so there's an infinite distance. And those people who can think about God, so they go a light year, they go a million light years, they go a billion light years, but it's always distant there in infinity. Infinity minus a billion is still infinity. Okay. Referring to the words of the Torah, the rabbi said, every day they should be in your eyes like new. And that's why the eternity of the Torah, the eternality of the Torah, the words of the Torah, they articulate a truth that is infinitely distant from us. And therefore, there is no end to the derashot and the chidushim that we can have on the Torah. Only Moses, who received the entire Torah, panim el panim, and grasped all of it as an original oraculum, or as the original oraculum, was able to perceive it in its infinite possibilities, because that was panim el panim. Even when a diligent student will one day expound at the feet of his teacher, was already known to Moses at Sinai. That's an amazing concept. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was panim el panim, his mind encompassed the infinite. Wow. And that's why all the chidushim, she'atidim le'ha'amer, he heard them in Sinai. That's a Gemara in Masechet Megillah, Amud Bet. Okay.